Okay, there's no question that one of the most difficult averot to avoid is talking lashon hara. So let's see if the Gemara has any advice how someone could escape this kind of ubiquitous wrongdoing. So there's a Gemara in Erchin on Daf Tedvav Medbet, which asks exactly this question. Amar B'chame Bar Chanina, Ma takanato shel mesaprei lashon hara. What's the way to fix things for those of us who talk lashon hara, which is kind of all of us? Im Talmid Chachamu, if we're talking about a scholar, someone involved in the world of learning, Yasok b'Torah, let that person be involved in Torah. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Mirapei lashon eitz chayim. So clearly, Mirapei lashon has to do with healing the tongue, and here we're healing the tongue in a spiritual and moral sense. What heals the tongue? Eitz chayim, and it's classic rabbinic interpretation that the tree of life is the Torah. So the Torah is what heals the tongue. Let's leave that aside for a second, how that works, and go to the other side of the divide. Then the Gemara goes on to say, what if you're not a scholar? Vim am ha'aretzu, if the person is not so knowledgeable, yashpil dato, let that person lower their opinion of themselves. Let them become more humble. Now, I do think the last part of the Gemara kind of cuts both ways, in that lashon hara could come from two moral places. It could come from a place of arrogance, like you really think you're better than everybody else. And from that perspective, the Gemara's advice is on target. Yashpil dato, right? Realize your own flaws, and you will not be so quick to criticize. I would note, however, that there could be a lashon hara that comes from the opposite place, and in that case, the Gemara would have to give different advice. There could be a lashon hara that stems from underconfidence as well, in which one doesn't feel good about oneself, and one has need to kind of bring others down to one's self-perceived level, as it were. And from that perspective, actually feeling more comfortable with yourself would be a better solution. But be that as it may, for the person not involved in learning, the Gemara has a solution that revolves around your self-esteem. Right? In the Gemara's case, yashpil dato, become more humble. And I'm suggesting that for some other people, the solution might be to have a healthier sense of self. Let's go back now to the first piece of advice, though. Why is there an advice of study Torah? How does that help? So one could say, in a couple of ways, one could say that the Torah metaphysically helps. Certainly if one's more mystically inclined. One can argue that in the study of Torah, one changes the cosmos or changes oneself, and therefore one will be protected from sins such as lashon hara. However, if that's the approach, it wouldn't really be lashon hara per se, right? You could have said the same, how do you stop eating cheeseburgers to learn Torah? Or how do you stop being Machal Shabbos, study Torah? See, one wonders if there's something specific to lashon hara where Torah study helps. And again, I think the same question could be asked on a number of answers. If I make it less metaphysical and more just you become a finer human being as a result. Okay, but again, that might be true for any sin. So I think there's one particular reason why Torah study is the solution to the problem of lashon hara more than other sins. And this is pointed out by the Chafetz Chaim in his famous book, Shmirat HaLashon, right, the classic work on this Avera. And the Chafetz Chaim points out that human beings are kind of speaking creatures. Like, arguably, that's what the definition, what the singular character of a human being is, how we differ from the animal kingdom, our power of speech. And naturally, we're going to speak. That's who we are. Right? People are not going to be silent. Silence is not really a live option. So then once we're going to speak, the simple question is, what will the content of our discourse be? Right? What kind of quality conversation will we have? So at that point, I think it's pretty obvious. Learning Torah helps because then you have quality things to have a conversation about. Very often, lashon hara is kind of a default position. Right, you're sitting around the lunch table and you can't think of what to talk about. So without anything to talk about, so you start talking about people. Right, it's kind of the lowest common denominator. Let's discuss various people or scandals in the community. And if one has quality conversations to have, so one never gets to that. So I would say Yasuk b'Torah helps in a very direct way, not so much in a metaphysical way, and not so much even that it makes you a better person. It's just there's no need to talk lashon hara. And I think one of the ways to think about the Torah conversation, and it doesn't have to be Torah per se, is just imagine a lunch table, right? You're coming into Midrash Lindenbaum in the Chadar Ochel, and there's one table where there's a really great conversation going on. So you want to be part of that, and if you're part of that great conversation, right, then there's no need to talk about people. Arguably, Talmud Torah is this great conversation that our people have been having for thousands of years. And you could be part of that conversation. And if one is really excited about Talmud Torah, so that could be lunch, right? You come to the table and say, I have a great insight that I just got from the Ramban al Torah. And again, I would extend this to just, in general, the pursuit of quality conversations. Like even if one's discussing movies or books, right? There could be a quality conversation and a lesser quality conversation, right? Are you discussing Saving Private Ryan, or are you discussing, I don't know, Dumb and Dumber, right? There's a difference in quality of what the conversation is going to be like. In the world of books, like are you discussing a Malcolm Gladwell book or a James Patterson book? So, and maybe there's a broader message here for life, which is we'd all like to avoid negative things. Sometimes we try to attack it directly. Let's attack the negative. Maybe the best way to avoid negative things really is to fill your life with a positive. If we could fill our lives with positive and productive endeavors, there's basically no need and no time for the negative. So as the Gemara says, Yasok B'Torah, let us have quality conversations, and we'll soon discover that we don't really have time or inclination for Lashon Hara.